The Philadelphia Eagles just pulled off a move so dangerous it might have actually broken the NFL draft. And if you aren't terrified of what Howie Roseman is building in 2026, you simply aren't paying attention. Did the Birds just secure the next great dynasty, or did they gamble their entire future on a group of players the rest of the league was too scared to touch? The answer is going to change everything we know about the NFC East. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The 2026 draft just wrapped up, and looking at the board, it feels like the rest of the league was playing checkers while Philadelphia was playing high-stakes poker. Howie Roseman pulled off an absolute masterclass, and he did it by following one brutal, simple rule. Stop overthinking and just grab the best talent on the board. Remember the disaster of 2020? The Jalen Reagor pick was a scar on this franchise's soul. They reached for a guy based on a specific need and watched a superstar pass them by. But that version of Howie is dead. This new era of Eagles management is cold, calculated, and obsessed with value. Over the last few seasons, the Eagles have built the most loaded roster in professional football because they refuse to reach. If a blue-chip talent is sliding, you grab him and figure out the logistics later. That strategy is exactly why the top 100 picks in this draft felt like a heist. In the first round, the Eagles didn't just wait, they hunted. They traded up to snag Makai Lemon, a move that sent shockwaves through the war rooms of every other team in the division. In the second round, they landed Eli Stowers, a player who has matchup nightmare written all over him. By the third, they locked in Marquil Bell. They didn't even have a fourth-round pick because they shipped it to Dallas to facilitate a jump, a move that proves they'll even deal with the enemy if it means getting their guy. The back half of the draft was just as fascinating. From Cole Payton at quarterback in the fifth, to Michael Morris on the offensive line in the sixth, all the way to a flurry of seventh-round flyers like Cole Wisniewski or Bernard, and the explosive edge rusher KeShaun James Newbie. This wasn't just a draft. It was an aggressive statement of intent. But wait until you hear why the most controversial pick in this class might actually be the smartest move of the decade. The Makai Lemon selection is where the world starts to split. People are calling it a gamble. I call a home run. There were experts who had Lemon going as high as 13th to the Rams. There was massive money on that pick happening. When the Rams pivoted to a quarterback, Lemon started to slide, and the Eagles didn't hesitate. Now, I know what the critics are screaming. They say he's too small. They say he's too slow. They say he's a diva or a nutcase because of a few viral clips from the Combine. But here is the reality. The media loves a villain, and they completely ignored the actual person. If you watched his introductory press conference in Philly, you didn't see a distraction. You saw a well-spoken, high-intensity athlete from a rock-solid family background. He isn't some locker room cancer. He's a dog who carries himself with an intensity that scares people who aren't ready to work. Is he small? Sure. But remember when everyone said Deshaun Jackson was too light to survive in the NFL? How did that work out for the league? Lemon is a technician who is incredibly productive at USC. He's durable, he's tough, and he is walking into a culture where he will be expected to thrive, not just survive. You can move him all over the formation. He's the kind of player who makes defensive coordinators lose sleep because they don't know if he's lining up in the slot or on the outside. But here is the real question. Who's to blame if this pick doesn't work out? Is it the player's personality? Or is the league just not ready for this kind of fire? Drop a name in the comments and let me know who you think the real breakout star of this class will be. While everyone is obsessing over the receivers, the real genius move might be Eli Stowers. Some teams were looking at Stowers in the 40s because of his pure raw talent. The Eagles got him at a steal. Imagine a 12-personnel set where you have Dallas Goedert on one side and Eli Stowers on the other. It's a total disaster for any linebacker or safety trying to cover them. Stowers is a freak of nature. His coach at Vanderbilt, Clark Lea, made a comparison that should make every Eagles fan jump out of their seat. He compared Stowers to Kyle Hamilton. Think about that. Hamilton is one of the most versatile, elite defensive weapons in the game, and Stowers has that same athletic foundation. He actually started as a quarterback before converting to tight end. He has the vision of a signal caller and the body of a user. The The Eagles lost a massive piece in the passing game recently, a guy who could just outmuscle anyone for the ball. Stowers fills that void of power. He was the heartbeat of the Vanderbilt offense. Without him, Diego Pavia wouldn't have been anywhere near New York for the Heisman ceremony. Stowers is the engine that makes the machine go. And when you combine his high character with the intensity of Makai Lemon, you start to see the vision. These aren't just athletes, they're grinders. Lemon admitted his combine interview wasn't perfect, but he owned it. That's growth. That's what you want in a rookie. But if you think the offense is the only thing changing, wait until you see the absolute speed demon they found in the 7th round. Let's talk about KeShaun James Newbie. This is the definition of a Howie special. A 7th-round pick out of New Mexico State who is flying completely under the radar. But if you look at the numbers, they are terrifying. We're talking about a guy who stands at 238 pounds and runs a 4.5340. That is elite, twitchy speed coming off the edge. In 2024, he posted 14. 5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. People thought it was a fluke because of the competition level, but then he stepped up to the Mountain West and did it again, 15 tackles for loss and 9 sacks. He has 33-inch arms. He has the length to bat down passes and the bend to get under the pads of any tackle in the league. Is he the next Trent Cole? Maybe not yet, but as a situational pass rusher or a special teams demon, he's a total steal. He's following the Patrick Johnson blueprint, provide high-value snaps at a low-cost draft position, but isn't all sunshine and rainbows. If there is a massive red flag in this draft, it's the safety position. The Eagles addressed the corners. They brought in Tarek Woolen, and the nickel spot looks solid. But the safety room feels thin. They took Cole Wisniewski in the 7th, a guy who was a hammer for Texas Tech's defense. He's great against the run, but is he the deep threat ball hawk this team needs? Probably not. There were high-level safeties available in the 3rd and 4th rounds.
It's caught at the 30 by Devontae Smith.
It's a risky move that could leave the back end of the defense vulnerable. However, Howie Roseman dropped a cryptic hint after the draft that should give us all pause. He said, if you come out of the draft having addressed every single need, you probably didn't have a good draft. Think about that for a second. It sounds insane, right? But what he means is that if you're drafting just to fill holes, you're reaching. You're taking a B- safety over an A+ wide receiver just because you're scared. Roseman refuses to be scared. He would rather have an elite roster with 1 or 2 question marks than a mediocre roster that is balanced. And he's already hinted that he isn't done. The safety room will be built, but it might not be through the draft. We are looking at a potential blockbuster trade coming in the next few months. Howie is always hunting for the next disgruntled star who wants a ring. As we look toward the 2026 season, the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the coaching staff. Can they take this collection of high-octane talent and turn it into a trophy? The success of Jalen Hurts is going to depend entirely on the offensive line and the new scheme. If the coaching can maximize the positional versatility of guys like Makai Lemon, using him in motion inside and outside, much like how Puka Nacua is used in Los Angeles, this offense will be unstoppable. Lemon has that same spatial awareness and tackle-breaking ability. He's a YAC monster. If Hurts has a clean pocket and these weapons are utilized correctly, 21. 5 passing touchdowns is a joke of a line. He should blow past that by November. This roster is a powder keg. The talent is there, the intensity is there, and the dog mentality is back in Philadelphia. The league let Makai Lemon fall. They let Eli Stowers slip. They ignored the production of KeShaun Newbie. Now, they have to deal with the consequences. But the most shocking part of this entire offseason isn't even the draft picks. It's the trade rumor that just started leaking out of the NovaCare complex. You won't believe who Howie is targeting next to fix that safety problem.